Yeah. I'm going to get to the audio sound bites and your phone calls here, El Quico. But here's something else. Now, I'm just like, I can't glance at TV without seeing somebody whining now about all the free media Trump has gotten. And I have here my formerly nicotine-stained finger. It's a story from MediaQuant. It's a firm that tracks media coverage of every candidate and computes a dollar value based on advertising rates. And it's been published here in the New York Times. And according to this study, Donald Trump has earned close to $2 billion worth of free media during the campaign. The pull quote from the story, Mr. Trump earned $400 million worth of free media just last month. That's about what McCain spent on his entire 2008 campaign. Paul Senatore, MediaQuant's chief analytics officer, says that Trump has no weaknesses in any of the media segments. In other words, he's strong in every type of earned media, from TV to Twitter, you name it. So now everybody, it's not fair, Trump's got all his free media. I mean, it's Republicans saying this, naturally. And they ever ask themselves why? It's 2016. Maybe we're learning something else here, too. Maybe we're learning that why does all this stuff have to fall on me to be said? I'm going to end up being universally despised and hated by everybody, no matter where I go. How is it that in 2016, a major political party still doesn't understand modern media, how to use it, instead of complaining about it being unfair? The media? Really, when did that realization hit you? That the media is unfair? When did you figure out the media does not like you, Republicans? When did you figure out the media does not like you, conservatives? Did you ever stop to ask why all this is happening? Why does Trump command all this? Why do these networks, I don't care who they are, televise hours and hours of Trump appearances when he pretty much says the same thing, maybe just not in the same order? Everything to me is a teachable moment, a learnable, if you will, opportunity. But to complain about the unfairness of it, I'm sorry, I don't have a sympathetic ear for that. I have a phrase I use, it's become a cliche. I really believe in it. It is what it is. It's not what you wish it was. It's not what you hope it was. It is what it is. And that's why I'm the mayor of Realville. Okay, to the audio sound bites, which tell a story. You may have seen excerpts of this. Mark Halperin, who has a TV show on the Bloomberg Network with his buddy John Heilemann, went to Showtime and pitched an idea. And the idea resulted in a program called The Circus, inside the greatest political show on earth. And the premise of the show is that Halperin hangs around with a bunch of Republican establishment guys during this campaign and gets them on tape reacting to what's happening in the campaign, which is pretty much getting their reaction to Trump. And the cameras follow them around as they're in cars, they go to dinner, anywhere these establishment types gather, the cameras are there. The establishment types are, for example, and many of them are from the George Bush 41 days. You have Vin Weber, former member of Congress in Minnesota. You have a fundraiser and strategist by the name of Rick Holt. Former George H.W. Bush advisor Ron Kaufman from Boston. And there's some others like Ed Rogers, depending on the event, they get thrown in. 4 or 5 of these. Oh, and Mark McKinnon. Mark McKinnon, who is a renowned media expert who ran all of George W. Bush's media in 2000 and 2004, and thus is heralded as a great media guru. He's also the guy that started the revered and exalted no labels movement with a bunch of other liberal Republicans who don't like labels and who don't like conservatives and thought that they could separate themselves and not be identified with the redneck hoi polloi by calling themselves no labels. He's part of this group, too. This is going to air at some point. It may be airing on Showtime. I don't know. But they have released excerpts of this on YouTube. And we have some of them for you. It's March 6th, Showtime's The Circus, inside the greatest political show on earth. This is during a dinner gathering of Republican establishment fundraisers and strategists.
Everybody around this table that I know, we've been in every presidential campaign probably since 1980 in various degrees. And in Trump's problem, he doesn't have a compass. You don't know what his compass is.
I talk to people all the time, as I'm sure everybody around the table does, and they say, why don't you Republicans do something about this guy? I'm sorry, this is not the Soviet Union. We can't call a meeting and decide Trump is out.
And we hate that. Denying dictatorship, who's for it? Trump is doing well for one reason. He understands the climate and the culture of America today better than anybody at this table.
That's Ron Kaufman, who also said, we hate the fact that we're not the Soviet Union Politburo. We just can't decide that Trump is out. But that's what they're doing. I mean, maybe not these guys, but that's exactly what they're doing, folks. They're trying to figure out how to take it away from Trump right now by going to a contested convention. And with this Rules Committee guy now publishing a story saying, hey, there's no way delegates are not bound to a candidate on the first ballot. They can vote for anybody they want. It's clear as a bell what they're setting up here. Now, this next one, this says it all. Same dinner gathering, same people, but a new voice. Ed Rogers. He's a former George Bush 41 advisor. And that's whose voice you first hear in this bite.
Shell-shocked, bewildered. Republicans are hierarchical, respectful of authority. We fall in line, and Trump has interrupted that cycle.
Donald Trump, nobody thought of him as any kind of political leader until 6 months ago.
He's not articulate, he's not poised, he's not informed. All he has going for him is a lot of votes. Why hasn't any of that hit home? Here we are. Here we are.
I mean, does any... What do you mean all he's got is a bunch of votes? What is this about? He's not articulate. He's not poised. He's not informed. All he's got going for him is a lot of votes. Why hadn't any of that hit home? Here we are. So why haven't you idiot voters realized that Trump's got nothing? There's nothing there. All he's got's a bunch of votes. When are you going to wake up? And believe me, that's what the establishment is asking. They're asking. And in the first part of this bite, Ed Rogers describes them all. Shell-shocked, bewildered. Republicans are hierarchical, respectful of authority. We fall in line. And Trump has interrupted that cycle, meaning there's a succession process here. Hierarchical, everybody knows their place, falls in line. You move up when it's your turn. I mean, these guys are making the case for any Republican voter who is wary or distrustful of the establishment. These guys are clearly demonstrating here that the current construct of the party is antiquated. It's an antique. I mean, it's not responsive. It doesn't relate to anything but itself. And so Trump's not playing along with the game. He's not going along to the hierarchy. The hierarchy would be Trump runs for dog catcher, then gets elected first city councilman, then runs for Congress, and then after 30 years of that, gets to the Senate, and then maybe we let you think about being president. And Trump said, hell with that. He's going for the top job right off the bat. Who does he think he is? All he's got's a bunch of damn votes. When are people going to wake up? And there is one more. An El Rushbo see, I told you so moment. Same dinner gathering, same people. Ed Rogers, Vin Weber, and all these other guys. And Mark Halperin says, do you know for sure that Trump would be a better president than Hillary Clinton?
No, but it's a risk that I'm willing to take. If we get off into splitting our party, we can't put it back together. Humpty Dumpty won't come back together.
That's the great dividing line in that question right there.
Because you care more about it being president.
I'm scared of him as president. I think he's an authoritarian figure. To deport 12 million people, build a wall on the Mexican border, and impose a religious test on people coming into this country is so violative of everything I believe about America and the Republican Party.
I travel around the world a lot, and Trump is a laughingstock. The world, whatever that is at peace with Hillary Clinton.
I've never voted for a Democrat I've never voted for anybody other than a Republican for president of the United States. This would not be an easy thing for me.
That was Ed Rogers. I'll travel. That's the guy. He's the same guy who said, well, when are people going to wake up? All Trump's got's a bunch of votes. He says here, I travel around the world a lot. Trump's a laughingstock. The world is at peace with Hillary Clinton. These guys are openly thinking of voting Hillary instead of Trump. They're talking about it. I'm just here to tell you, it looks like if there's not the standard operating procedure of we have a nominee and then unity and everybody coming together and realizing that Hillary is the enemy to Democrats and the opposition, if that doesn't happen, then the Republican Party, as you and I have always known it, it's going to be there, but it's not going to look anything like it does today or like last year. And these guys are pretty much telegraphing that that's what's at stake here. Okay, a few words about what we just heard. I had to go to the break real quick to stay within the confines here, the programming format. I'm stunned by what I've heard in these videos. And by the way, apparently this thing's been on the air for 6 weeks. And I can't believe I haven't heard of this. I mean, it's not that I spend all day watching TV, but I read enough to read. This program hasn't been reviewed by anybody. This program has not been touted. This program's been on Showtime for 6 weeks or something, or 8 weeks or whatever, and I only heard about it when they started playing these YouTube sound bites. So, my bad, but it's apparently it's airing. It's long past post-production. So, get that straight. Listen to this Vin Weber here in this last bite that we played. I'm scared if Trump is president. I think he's an authoritarian figure. To deport 12 million people, Ike deported 6. We've done this before. None of what Trump is proposing is unique. None of it's unprecedented. That's what's striking about this. To deport 12 million people, build a wall in the Mexican... Congressman Weber, the wall has been funded. There's already legislation to build the wall. We just haven't done it because Obama's not interested. We're going to build a wall before Trump ever showed up. The wall is funded via legislation that's already been passed and signed into law. Impose a religious test on people coming into this country is so violative of everything I believe about America. We already do and have for who knows how long. Let me explain again. This is a former member of Congress. And look at what they're reciting as their fears of Trump. And you know what it all is? It's almost by rote. They're saying things they want Democrats to hear. They're saying things that they want certain people to hear so that they will not be thought of as the racist, sexist, and bigots that Trump voters are perceived as. So they're opposed to a wall. They're opposed to deportation. They're opposed to religious tests. We've had refugees regularly and annually admitted to this country. And every refugee, up until Obama, every refugee was asked about his or her religion. It is the number one reason given by refugees seeking asylum. They are fleeing religious persecution, they claim, on their application form. Or they're fleeing poverty, or they're fleeing war, or political persecution. But religious persecution is the number one thing, according to stats, that refugees list. By definition, they have to be asked about, what is your religion? It has to be confirmed. They claim they're fleeing religious bigotry and persecution. So they're asked, where? What is your religion? What's being done to you? You know, and if they're coming from the nation of San Cordoba, which doesn't exist, Mission Impossible made it up, so San Cordoba, They claim that there's religious persecution in San Cordoba. Okay, so the authorities have to go look and see what's going on in San Cordoba to find out if there is any religious persecution going, or if the guy is lying. Now, Congressman Weber ought to know this. We routinely control who gets into this country. We always have, for the preservation of this country. Freedom and the Constitution is not a suicide pact, for crying out loud. The Eisenhower administration deported 6 million illegal immigrants back in the 50s, obviously. It has been done. And yet all of these things are cited as horrors that they're not like any America that I know. It makes me very worried. Trump's an authoritarian figure. He's going to build a wall. It's already been debated in Congress. It's already been passed, signed into law. The money's there for it. Just hasn't been built. Well, some of it has. I don't know, folks. This is I have to tell you, this is what makes it tough for me. You know what? Let me put it this way. One of the most, I think, relevant things that was said in one of these episodes, and I just found this. It was a question that Mark Halperin asked these guys. He said, how do you feel about the fact that the Republican nominee may be someone that none of you know? Bingo. There it is. What do you mean, Rush? What do you mean? It's a club. Everybody in the club knows everybody. There are favors passed out. There are special considerations based on seniority. It's like any other club. It's like any other private, enclosed existence. There are rules, and knowing who and what and where and when and why is the power. Who to know and when to whatever. And if you don't know the nominee, what can he do for you? If you don't know the nominee, what can he do for you? If you don't know the nominee, how the hell are you going to have any power with the guy? Do not doubt me, folks. We'll be back.